river almost plowable. But then there's also this growing problem of floating garbage dumps in the ocean. And there's been a lot of documentaries about those lately, and some scientific research looking at the effect that has on ecosystems. There's a lot of dumping offshore, and barges that go to sea full and magically come back empty. So that is a growing problem, and one that needs to be addressed, especially from the standpoint of marine mammal and wildlife. Sorry? Well, yeah, I remember years ago the headlines about New Jersey and the syringes on the beach and that sort of thing, and you know, that's a problem everywhere. That's another form. I mean, there's landfilling, but there's, I guess, sea filling too. Is another way of getting rid of material rather than dealing with it responsibly in a cradle-to-grave fashion.
Did you say that Iowa City or Johnson County recycles 50% at this point, or 15%?
About 50% is landfill of all goods that are considered waste.
Okay. Do you know what is true for this area at this point?
I don't know about this area specifically. You know, we've seen curbside compostable recycling, which is garden waste, kitchen waste. That's a big improvement. We've seen the new cans that are trash bins that you put out at the curb. I wish they were about half the size they are, because it would encourage perhaps more recycling. I think the markets are developing better for material like recycled paper. We still take the glass somewhere else other than curbside. I think by and large we've come a long way in the last decades. But there still are some areas, some neighborhoods where people are not recycling at all, and we need to encourage our neighbors to do it and try to make it as easy as possible for people to do so.
Let's see, I'm sorry, we had one here, there.
It just seems like there's such an opportunity for microfinancing, where small loans to be given to these coalitions, and then they can buy a better truck or buy better equipment and then pay it off and then receive bigger loans. Has there been any effort or endeavors to try to make this possible where they're at? Do you know?
You know, these are just wonderful questions, and as the movie was screening, I thought, why didn't I do a little background research on the movie? I was so focused on public health part of it, which is just so obvious. So I wish I personally could answer that. I think that's a great question. I don't know if anybody here or in the audience has anything to add. They're welcome to do that. Fabulous idea. I think we had a comment here and then over here.
I'm the education coordinator, so I like to say it's my job to put us out of business. I don't know if it ever will happen, but we receive over 200,000 tons of solid waste on a yearly basis. I don't know about Johnson County, but in 1987, the state of Iowa established a goal of 50% reduction of the landfill waste being landfill. I think Iowa-wise, we're probably at 30%. Lynn County is up near 41%, so we have just 9% to go to reach that goal. But the top three things in the landfill are paper, plastic, and metal. So from a low-hanging fruit recycling standpoint, that's what we've been working on forever. In 2007, we threw away $7 million worth of recyclables in the Lane County landfill alone. So it's just, what can we say from a landfill perspective? Because we really are trying to put ourselves out of business. It does not make sense to throw away. And, micro loans from abroad is great, but what can we do at home? And I guess it broke my heart to watch this, because we have such sanitary conditions here, but we're still throwing away so much resource, and it is a gift from God, these things that we could reuse and recycle, and I think reusing is the best way to go before you ever recycle, but our message is to recycle. So I just wanted to give you a little background about what's happening in the state of Iowa.
Yes.
One thing I'm interested in, specifically relating to the University of Iowa sustainability endeavors, is basically the stadium, Kinnick Stadium. During high school, I started an environmental club at West High. And one of our goals was to encourage recycling at Kinnick Stadium, especially with stadium cleanup, which is what all high school athletes are required to do. So my environmental club worked on encouraging recycling within the stadium and getting high school students to separate recycling from trash. And ultimately what happened is we weren't allowed to come into the stadium anymore because we weren't allowed to recycle, because the people who were hauling the trash wouldn't allow us to take recycling out of the stadium. They threw everything into their dumpster and drove it straight to the landfill because they make money on the amount of trash that they pull out of the out of the stadium. So they wanted all of our recycling to go into their dumpster instead of to City Carton, which is where we took all of our bags of recycling. And my group of 7 students could collect like 14 bags of, huge bags of plastic bottles.
Can I talk to you after this session and give you some more information? And
I would love to, yes.
I'll talk to the new sustainability director at the University of Iowa, and we'll see if we can make a change to that. Because that sounds just really ridiculous to me.
It was, and we wrote numerous letters and called the directors at the university and talked to the athletic directors at the high schools, and no one would help us. So.
Okay, well, I think there's a new climate here. There's a new person that's personally responsible for this, and I'll talk to her, but let me get more information from you afterward. Thank you for that.
Another comment?
Do you foresee maybe the government ever stepping in and mandating how we recycle? I know it's one more thing that the government would control. However, I lived in Italy for 3.5 years and actually worked for the U.S. government. And Italy fines, if you don't recycle, they fine you. You pay a fine. And actually, the U.S. government paid quite a hefty fine because soldiers and their family members didn't recycle properly. And it was actually a huge bill that your taxpayer money wants to pay for. So I just didn't know if there are plans for that, I guess, moving into the future if things don't get better, because eventually we're going to run out of land and landfills, and we have a bigger problem at hand.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I don't know if you have an answer to that, the person with their hand up, or a separate question.
Well, you made me think of something, and I can't remember where I heard this, but I thought there was some country that had a system where the trucks come through and they actually weigh the trash that you are dumping, and you are charged on the weight of that trash. So you know by the end of the year or the end of 6 months or the end of the month that I threw out 100 pounds or 1,000 pounds or whatever. So that is a real incentive to recycle, because you want you want very little in your trash bin when the garbage people come by. And for the life of me, I can't remember where that's being done, and you were nodding your head. Help me.
I don't know where it's done, but the concept is one I mentioned in passing, pay as you throw. And it starts with having uniform garbage bins so that the weight of the tear weight, if you will, is all the same. So as many communities are going to a standard issue waste bin, then that provides the opportunity to do that. And the trucks that pick it up have that capability to be added. So I think that could be on the horizon, and for many people that would be a very strong motivator.
I really appreciate everybody staying for this and taking some time to talk with us. These are the kinds of things that we at the college want to have these conversations, because part of our mission, of course, is to play this forward and have these kinds of public health priorities on the radar screen. So thank you very, very much.